I've decided it's time for another somewhat dubious science experiment here. As you all know, probably, I love racing cars. It's my thing. I'm pretty good at it, and enjoy it a lot, and I enjoy the people that I race with. They're great individuals. Anyway, tonight's pointless experiment is to find out which car is best with wind. And I have three cars here, all the same basic shape. The first one has no wing at all. The second one has a small wing that I made out of plastic. And the third one has a larger surface area wing that I also made out of plastic. And what we're going to do tonight is a primitive wind tunnel experiment that is dubiously scientific. I'm going to use the hairdryer, a wind speed measuring device, has a propeller in there. If you blow on it, you can see that propeller move in there, and it will measure the wind speed from the hairdryer, and we're going to match it to about 21 kilometers per hour because that's about the speed of the cars on our track. And to eliminate pitch variables as far as body tilt, we're going to put them all on the same PN chassis tonight. So how we're going to measure this is using scales. We're going to with the chassis in the right place, we'll measure the effect of wind on a chassis on a car and see whether it makes lift or if it makes downforce, and we'll be able to measure it both at the front wheels and back wheels and be able to measure the effect of each. So we'll get that started. First thing I'll do is turn the hairdryer on and ensure that the wind speed is about 21 kilometers per hour right at the midpoint of these two scales. And that way I have a general baseline of where to start. I've got the scales zeroed out, and we'll put the first car on and just take a baseline of how heavy it is, 67.2 and 74.4. I'll write that down. So with the fan on, 68.3 and 73. Looks like it just bumped a little bit. 68.4 and 73 nothing. It jumps around a little bit. I'm going to say 68.4. For some reason I didn't get the video when I tested this before. I got numbers, but I'll go ahead and test the second car. First, we'll put it on the scales. 65.6, 75.4. Alright, let's see what it does with the wind. 64 and 79.2. Alright, I just changed those numbers a little bit to match what I had. 65.8, 75.2, that's correct. And that's correct as well. Alright, off to test number 3. And for the final car in the test, this one has the larger wing on the back. And 65.8, 75.0. Let's find out what happens with some wind. All this is dubiously scientific and pointless, so of course I had to do it. 64.7 and 80.5. And that's saying 0.3. 64.8. And it was holding at 80.4 for a while. I don't know why it's changing a little bit, but it is. Say 80.2. And this is measured in grams. So, and the reason I use that 20 kilometer per hour, that's the speed, the top speed that these cars will reach generally on our track. They might hit 26 on a good day. This one here probably will. It's got the PN chassis and a little bit better motor and some other upgrades to it. But anyway, looking at the first one, I inverted them. I put the wind on speed on the top. And with that, also the speed with the wind off is on the bottom of this one. So with no wind, it actually made a little bit more downforce in the front. But with the wind on, it actually created a little bit of lift compared to the no wind speed. So as this travels through the air, it's actually creating a little bit of lift in the tail, but the nose is a little bit heavier. Now down here with the medium wing, that was the silver body here. This one, with the wing, with the no wind at all, it produced 65.8 grams of gravity and 75.2 grams in the back. So it's the front and back. So really, the medium-sized wing didn't do a whole lot to reduce the nose weight. And why it would tend to do that is if you put pressure on the back, it tends to lift the nose. And that's why you would get a little bit less weight on the nose. And that explains why, because on the tail, it actually made about 4 grams more force on the rear axle than the front axle. So that's good. You didn't lose a whole lot of front downforce or weight, but you did gain 4 grams in the back. Now on the front, on the large wing, this car, it's got quite a bit more wing than the other car. It's, you know, just much larger surface area. But this one also made, looks like about 5.2 grams of downforce. And in the front, it lightened it up 1. So it is -1 up front. That's not too bad of a trade-off if you're getting 5.2 grams here and you're only losing 1 gram in the front. That's not bad at all. However, you have to think about it from the beginning, where initially we actually, in the back with the wind on, we lost 1 gram. So we can +1 to both of these. So that's 4 grams for this first wing and 6.2 for the second. So it's actually creating quite a bit more downforce than I thought, without losing too much in the front. This 0.2 grams is insignificant. I don't know if 1 gram is or not, but there is quite a jump over no wing, where you lost 1 gram. You get 5 grams of downforce, plus it's not losing the gram from missing the wing altogether. Anyway, dubiously scientific, and definitely not scientific at all. But it's pointless. It's fun. I did it. I've got time. Why not? And just to have a little bit of fun, I might see how a McLaren body does, and also a a Ferrari LaFerrari, and we won't write those down, but I'll do them side by side just so you can see what's going on with that. Scales are on. All right. All right, the McLaren is on, and this is the 12C, the M12C GT3. So 57,469.8. Let's see what happens. So it actually gets a little bit lighter in the nose and a little bit lighter in the tail, but it stays pretty neutral in the tail. That's a good handling body on the track. I'd race that one against anybody. Next we'll try the Enzo, or not the Enzo, the LaFerrari. 68.5 and 70.5. Let's see what happens. So you lose quite a bit in the nose. That's 2 grams, 2.5 grams, roughly. And you don't lose a whole lot in the tail by running it through the wind. That's pretty good body. 66.3 and 70. Half a gram. And the scale turned off. But anyway, the experiment was done, and you can see the bodies do make a little bit of lift as they go through the air, unless they have a nice wing put on the back. At some point, I'm going to put a factory wing on this body and find out if the factory wing actually does anything. But that's for later. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you at the racetrack.